usually what I do is look at the professor who has the strictest guidelines, and then I just apply those guidelines across the other classes.
So one of those things was signing up to be an online student ambassador.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Online Student Podcast. My name is João Malanga, and today we're going to have another episode. And this episode will be with our online students, and we're going to talk about overcoming challenges as online students. Hello, my guests. How are you doing today?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Nice. Thank you. I'm doing great. So, first, I like to ask to each one of you, of course, to introduce yourselves first and say hi to our online students who are watching you right now.
My name is Shannon West. I am working on my master's degree in library science archival studies. Currently, I live in San Antonio.
Nice.
Great. And I'm Josh Chandler. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm a part of the Ryan College of Business, general business major, and a senior. So graduating in May.
That's insightful. Thank you so much. So, let's move on to some of the questions that we have here today. And our first question will be for Shannon, and later on, Josh can join us and also answer the same question. The first question is, what motivated you to choose online learning over traditional classes?
The quick, easy answer is I wanted to go to UNT, and I live in San Antonio. So I got my bachelor's degree from UNT a couple decades ago, and I knew that I wanted to reconnect with that um, as my as my campus. So that was I really didn't even look anywhere else. I knew that they had a great online library program too. I've heard from other people. So
Wow, wow, that's insightful. Thank you so much, Shannon. What about you, Josh? What motivated you to choose online classes over traditional classes?
Yeah, so my motivation was very similar to Shannon's. I always had UNT in my sights. However, I've always lived pretty south compared to where the campus is. So logistically, would always consider how that might fit into my professional schedule. But then I happened to learn about the online program through a mentor of mine, and just saw it as a great opportunity to have the experience at the campus of my choice, albeit within the offering the flexibility that I truthfully just needed in order to commit to both my education as well as my career.
Wow, that's good. And I think online classes really facilitate the most when it comes to this kind of, to balance work and to balance this kind of transition, relocating from one place to another. That's insightful. Thank you so much, guys. Now we have also this question, going back to Shannon, how do you balance your studies with work, family, or other responsibilities that you have?
I think I'm in a very unique situation. My youngest daughter graduated from high school last spring, and she went off to college. So um, I quit my job and sold my house, and I'm doing this full time online and working part time. So it was, I mean, I had to spend a lot of time thinking about how I was going to do that and make that work. But um, it's really fitting nicely into my lifestyle right now. So it's just a matter of keeping all my ducks in a row.
Yeah, I see that. I myself, I'm also know I attend also some online classes, and sometimes when it comes to online classes, we have some distractions, and it sometimes it takes a lot, and sometimes we have some distraction that we cannot move on studies because of them, and taking, having this balance between responsibilities, school, families, work is really difficult sometimes, at least for me. What about for you, Josh? What how do you balance your studies with work, family, or other responsibilities that you have?
Yeah, I've learned that what works best for me is to create a system in order to keep on track with different due dates, as far as how I'm spending my time. And that I think I attribute that to how I approach my way of work in the office. Whether it's scheduling time just to commit to working on a project, or kind of your traditional meetings that you commit to. I try to maximize the space within the 8 hours that I'm giving in the office. So I just applied that approach to my studies as well as completing assignments and other tasks for school. So I live and breathe by a calendar. I know myself well enough that I need a grace period in order to get assignments turned in. So I might schedule, on the calendar my due date 24 hours in advance just to give me a sweet little buffer in case life just starts happening. And I just need that extra time to sit down and really just cram out my assignment. But just to kind of summarize, I think anybody who just thinks about kind of their behaviors and really applying what's going to help you just have the success that you want to have. And for me, calendars and just making sure that I dedicate time for the things that will help me reach my goals is where I try to strive for.
Yeah, that's spot on.
I
Okay,
I
Shannon.
call one of my hobbies is calendaring.
Yeah.
I've turned that into I made that a word. So
All right.
yes, I
I
agree
love
with
it.
you on that.
Yeah, I love that word too, calendaring everything that you have. And that's a very good way also to keep yourself organized. And moving on to this uh, question, which is I think like as online students, you guys, you have similar challenges, but I also think that you have unique challenges. Going to Shannon, what was your biggest challenge as online student? And after that, how did you handle it?
Definitely keeping on track. It's interesting how we're all using Canvas, but each of the professors has their own way of sculpting
Yeah,
what
that's right.
their modules and assignments look like. So making sure I'm meeting each, usually what I do is look at the professor who has the strictest guidelines, and then I just apply those guidelines across the other classes. So um, figuring out how that all fits together. Um, Personally, another big challenge for me was, I guess you could say, self confidence, because I hadn't been a college student in almost 30 years.
Wow.
And so having to teach myself, relearn how to be a student. I've raised three kids and they're all, doing great. And I have been a teacher for many years. But having to sit down and do the work myself, I feel a lot more confident now than I did back in August. I'm just in my second semester, but yeah, learning how to be a student again, just practice and dedication.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think for someone like you who is a teacher going back to school, because you used to see yourself mostly as a teacher, now as a student, it was kind of difficult as you said. But I'm happy to know that you are handling it very well. What about you,
Mhm.
Josh? What was your biggest challenge as an online student, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, I would say just learning kind of the unique way professors run their virtual classroom was a big challenge, because, you know, going back to being a full-time student, I guess I assumed that all of my point of reference was from my last time I was in the classroom setting. So it's easy to just kind of think, it's going to be a one-for-one match. But the reality of it was that, each professor, to Shannon's point, has their own way and style to running the online course. So one, spending time in the materials that they provide up front, reading through what their expectations are, sort of any sort of class etiquette, as far as having an online presence, the ways that they want certain assignments submitted, just so that I know how to have success in that particular course. I think the when I think about my biggest challenge, I would say would be like the group projects, because it really relied on more than just my own way of approaching tasks, but you're really kind of bringing people together in trying to achieve a shared goal. But as we already touched on, everybody kind of has their own kind of priorities and things that are pulling at that time on their calendar. So, the way I kind of work through that is just really giving us a lot of upfront time just to start to plan and prepare, and then really determining, okay, what can people commit to with those projects? What are some of your strengths? How much time do you have during the day? So that way, those expectations are clear, and then just identifying somebody that can serve as sort of a project coordinator just to keep things moving. So having those group projects, and then adding the complexity of having kind of the virtual dynamic. I think, again, goes back to just creating those systems in order to just make sure that everybody's clear on what the task is and what they own in order to drive that forward.
Wow, that's good. Thank you very much, guys. We have also this idea of community, which we as online student experience team try to bring and also to build so that online student can have a sense of community while they are at UNT. My next question is, how do you guys, starting from Channel, how do you create meaningful connections with classmates and instructors online?
That is something I've struggled with. It is something that I yearn for. I have sent um, messages to a few people in certain classes, and I haven't really gotten a great response. I have enjoyed attending sessions. I know that there were a few times in the fall where I showed up for a session with Dallas, and it might have just been the two of us, so that was fun. I've gone to some of the grad school sessions, the testing and counseling, and so I haven't necessarily created connections with um, my immediate peer group in library science and archival studies, but I'm trying to stay connected through different. Just it's just nice to have this, touch of humanity, and I think it's interesting to meet people and see where they are too. I also, I mean, I interacted a bit with some of my professors online last semester, but I don't really feel connected to them, and I'm not even sure that they're even. I think at least one of mine isn't even in Denton, like they're in Pennsylvania or something. I think this kind of face-to-face format is great for those of us that are far away. I'll add too that because my bachelor's degree was from UNT, I'm part of the Alumni Association based here in San Antonio, and that has been a great connection for me, and they have been a huge encouragement to me too, and that connects me a little bit to campus um, as well. So we all have different backgrounds, but it gives me some of that UNT, mean green pride, celebrate.
That's why we are here. We are here to give you this sense of community with all online students and with the university. The same question to Josh. How do you create meaningful connections with classmates and instructors online?
Yeah. So my profession, I'm a recruiter by my day job. So I'm no stranger to just having conversation and even if that person wasn't expecting that phone call. But so I think that just it reminds me of just being intentional to, if you want to create connection, somebody has to be the brave one to put themselves out there. So I sort of taken, the different the different tasks that I have in my professional life and started to implement it into, the online community at UNT. So one of those things was signing up to be an online student ambassador for my program, where we're having conversations around that topic. How do we create meaningful connections with this community of people that are all across the country? And I think for me personally, just to feel like I can get that sense of pride and really that belonging for UNT's campus is through social media. All the different student organizations, even the school led programs, many of them have like an Instagram profile.
Mhm.
So just a quick follow on there, and all of a sudden I'm plugged into the different activities and forums where I can engage other students or like-minded folks that just want to stay, in touch with what UNT has going on.
That's perfect. Uh,
Can I add one more thing?
yeah, Shannon,
What well,
please.
one of my particularly meaningful connections was, I should have mentioned this too, is my one of my daughters just graduated from UNT in December, and she lived there on campus the first 2.5 years, but then she was doing her work. She finished online and asynchronously and was going to school and working full time all the way through. So I'm very proud of her. But when we would have this last fall, when I was starting this study process, every couple of weeks we would meet. We're an hour and a half away from each other, so we would meet somewhere in the middle, and that would be my study date. So, um, very meaningful connection to be starting my grad school degree while my daughter is finishing her bachelor's degree at the same school.
Ah, that's great. Are you guys now a Discord server? Online student experience Discord? Are you guys?
I'm not in. I know what it is, and I think I have an account, but I have not really participated.
You should be. We have a lot of activities there. We have Discord game night. Now we are planning also to have some movie nights and also opportunity to meet other online students. That should be really good to create some meaningful connections with your classmates. Let's move on to the next question, which is going back to Shannon once again. What university resource do you use the most here at UNT?
Online, probably, I mean, most definitely the library,
Mm,
because I'm constantly looking, and a lot of times the professors have provided the articles that they want us to read, but using the online library resources has been tremendous. Um,
no,
so yeah, no doubt there.
that's good. Your major is your
Library science.
library science. Okay, it's
Archival studies,
it
yes.
matches.
And that, yes, that's, I actually have, there's the Library Science Student Association. We have a get together, fun chat, bring your coffee and let's get to know each other on Thursday night for all the online people too. So that's great for the
Yeah,
department.
that's really great. What about you, Josh? What university resource do you use the most?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is just my online success coach. Shout out Melody Pratt if you're watching. But I know she sees my face at least once a month and much more by email. But she has just made this experience very smooth for me, having some of the nerves of returning to school after some time.
Mhm.
Just logistically and just helping me set my schedule up for success, just talking through, kind of everyday activities that a student will try to work through on their own, just to kind of smooth that road out for me. And even, I'm the closest family member to actually earning my degree. So just even talking through graduation with somebody, and just like the different opportunities to make that kind of a special moment. That's something that I just really appreciate her being accessible, and just open to all of my questions. So if there are students who aren't taking that opportunity to check in with their advisor, that's something, just a quick tap on the Navigate app, and scheduling that time
Mhm.
with them goes a long way, and probably will be able to, work out some of those questions and nerves that you're trying to do so on your own.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I agree with that. The advising appointments that I've had prior to registering each semester, and then I met with one of the career coaches back in November, who kind of is helping me figure out, because I have to do a practicum, and helping me figure out how to weave all of this together. So I second that. Yes.
All right. So we have some stereotypes when it comes to online classes, and you are the perfect people to talk about it as online student. And with that being said, what advice would you offer to new online students or students considering going online? Starting with Shannon.
Um, I think you have to dedicate time, having that schedule blocked out, but dedicate time in your week. I do better with hard, fast deadlines than saying, oh, that's due in 8 weeks. I'll work on that later. Then all of a sudden, 7 weeks have gone by, and now I'm, trying to cram something in that should take me a lot longer. So, yes, making sure that you keep stay on top of your calendar and your assignments, so that it doesn't all pile up. But I mean, I guess that would be the same thing if you were in person. But um, yeah,
Yeah, that's right. I agree with that.
every time the professor says there's an optional Zoom, I show up, even if it's just so my face is there and I'm listening.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Josh? What advice would you offer to new online students and those who are considering to go online?
Yeah, my advice is more like encouragement that they can absolutely do this. I think that everybody's situation looks different and they have real responsibilities that require much from the individual. But I think that UNT has done such a good job kind of creating a runway for somebody to kind of work out what that might look like, and then support you along the journey. So I think it just requires you to take that first step of really, committing yourself to a program, having a goal in mind, and then to Shannon's point, really developing a system that's going to work, and that you could commit to, and even if it starts to shift for you, because life happens for everybody. That can be a transparent conversation with the success coach and all of the many support staff that UNT offers you, just to make sure that you can still make progress towards that goal, even if it's not as quick, as you maybe initially thought it would have been. But all in all, just just to say yes to something that you feel like you can have, that you can do. I think that UNC is going to facilitate that journey with you, and it's not just up to you and figuring it out on your own. But now you have sort of that, to your word, that community that will come alongside of you and just make sure that this is accessible and that degree is obtainable for that person.
That's right. I agree with that. So, all I want to say now is thank you so much for your participation today. That was really insightful to hear you guys a lot of good answers. And truly, I want to go fully online with you guys. You have really inspired me a lot of good advice. And of course, this was the episode number 6 of the online student experience. And I hope to see you next time. Today, the producer was Dallas Wabington, and I am João Malanga, the host of this episode. We had Josh and Shannon, who are online student of the University of North Texas. Thank you so much. And of course, don't forget to follow us on our Facebook on OSE UNT OSE, and also on Instagram UNT OSE. And you can find the link of these platforms of our social media in the description of this video. Thank you so much and see you in the next episode. And don't forget, go Mean Green. Yeah.